books are good, but they're good for nothing if people don't read.
Absolutely.
See, when you read, you realize something.
Absolutely.
I'm not smart. There's things that I don't know. That's why we read.
That's wisdom.
Exactly. We want to read because the more I read, the dumber I realize I was.
Yes.
Because every time I read a book and go, man, okay, that's something I didn't know.
Yep.
Then I read another book and say, man, that was another thing I didn't know. So it's a mental marathon that I'm running.
Correct.
Because every time I read, I'm learning something new, and it's making me better as an individual. I'm becoming better not because of other people. Now, we can become better or bitter.
Correct.
That's a choice. If we choose to be better, that means we have to do the things in order to become better, which
Absolutely.
means we have to sometimes disassociate from people who we thought were in our corner. When do we stop saying it's okay to infiltrate our minds with garbage? And that's a lot of it. It's nothing but garbage. I listened to Jamil, and I appreciate it. I told you when you came in that he was saying, sir, sir, sir. It's rare to hear a young man or a young woman saying sir or ma'am.
Yes.
Because that's not something they have been used to hearing. And matter of fact, that honors people when you're saying sir and ma'am. They don't want that. They'll call you F this and a B that and so forth. So where are the manners at then?
I'd like to speak on etiquette real quick and how I was able to develop my manners and respect for, people of all different sizes and demographics. Back in 2011, while being a junior at Kent State University, I visited the Black Holocaust Museum in Philadelphia. Now at this time, I'm trying to be successful. I'm trying to graduate, and I still had one foot in the community, had one foot in college. So I'm sitting here asking myself, well, why am I not receiving the blessings that I strongly desire in the world? And it's because of my manners and a lack of manners and not having respect for all involved. So when I went to this museum, it was the Black Holocaust Museum in Philadelphia. And it changed my life for the better. Inside of this museum, they had a room filled with obituaries from everybody who was killed by black-on-black violence. And inside of these obituaries, it was short-lived, like paragraphs, sentences. Like I'm like thinking to myself, well, this is it. This is all people have to say about you from the time you was here, from the time you was born. And then listening to the instructor, I'm like, well, if I continue to treat my people like this, then this is going to be me on these walls. And what hit me the most was inside of that room, it was a coffin. It was a coffin inside that room. And I'm goofing around, not listening to the instructor, talking to my peers. And the instructor tapped me on the shoulder and said, hey, my man, go take a look inside of the coffin. I'm scared, nervous, shaking, don't know what to expect. I go in, open that coffin, and I look inside, and I saw myself. Changed my life for the better. From that moment, I told myself that I'm going to respect each person I come in contact with, no matter what. I'm going to make sure I start eliminating the N word from my vocabulary. I'm going to make sure I start eliminating the B word from my vocabulary in terms of how I address women. It will be sir, it will be ma'am. Some women say, you know what, don't call me ma'am, I'm not that old. Ma'am, it's a sign of respect.
Exactly.
Sir, it's a sign of respect. So I've been practicing that, and that has allowed many doors to open up for me. I can't come on positive platforms or go to, $1 million banquets if I use that tone of voice, and I feel like, I have to see myself in everybody that I meet, so I'm a reflection. You are a reflection of the people that you hang around with. So I really pride you for writing the book on etiquette, because many of us need it. And on a daily basis, I make sure that I exemplify it. If somebody speaks to me in a tone that's not resonating me well, I'm stopping you in your tracks. So, for example, it may be like, hey, what's up, my excuse me. I'm not no NIGGA. I'm not ignorant. I'm not less than. I'm not lazy. I'm not none of these things. That term was used to make you look down upon other people and block your growth. So,
but before you go on, black people tend to think that is a word of endearment. They will use it and say nothing wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with us saying that. I like what you said because it is true. We should eliminate out of our vocabulary. Absolutely. And there's nothing wrong with saying sir and ma'am,
right?
Similarly, but I want to just interject that.
Oh, thanks for doing it, because there are so many different adjectives in the book, right? in the dictionary that we can use to, identify somebody with. Why would we resort to the N word or a B word if it's supposed to be nice and pleasant? If I look at the definition, it's gonna go back to something negative, for both. So how hard is it to say, beautiful black brother or my sister? You know what I'm saying? Just replace that and start using other adjectives that complements who they are, their intelligence. Even if they aren't in that space, I have to look at them and treat them as who they already had the potential to become. And then that's when we start that change. If I see this person who sagging his pants or whatnot, if I don't never tell him to put his pants up, he's going to keep sagging his pants. So he may think it's cool because it's on rap videos, but I can say, you know what, man, my man, that's a sign of butt breaking. You know what I'm saying? Slave owners, took our most meaningless, restless slaves, as I mentioned in chapter 3, and Completely Naked, Generational Curses. They took the meaning, most restless slaves and took his manhood in front of the whole population and gave him big pants. So you saw him with baggy pants. That means he has been tampered with from his slave owner. Then they try to say, it comes from jails and prisons. Jails and prisons is modern day slavery. It still works. You know what I'm saying? So it is our job to exemplify the behaviors that we wish to see in our people in order to make that change. Same as Mr. James, However, mine's a little bit more disturbing than his, I would suggest, because Completely Naked is a look at people of color in our unnatural broken state, in which our brokenness affects our relationships with each other and our ability to live dignified lives. So writing Completely Naked, I really wanted to invite the world into the space of black men, the trauma that we go through, how those traumas affect our behaviors, our ability to cope in life, So I would recommend, sisters, whether it's a mom, aunt, grandma, whoever, to again have these deep, heartfelt conversations with your youth, your boys, as early as possible, so we can break the cycle of oppression, break the cycle of generational curses. And then following that, this book, I will recommend, the playbook on manners, because we have to do the dirty work first, which is to scrape out all that yuckiness, all that pain, that trauma, that uncertainty, that self-doubt. We got to get all that yuckiness out first. Then we can go on to plant the seeds of, generosity and mannerism, so we can secure the life that we truly.
What it comes down to then, does it? Is it the student's dream or is the parent's dream? With that, I want to jump in and bring Jamil in, because you mentioned the fact you're not limited, and you say you do rap and a number of other things, correct?
Yeah, not rap, but yeah, I'm pretty much versatile and whatever I choose to put my mind to,
Okay, so with what Brother Ringo was saying, you feel that, because I saw you nodding your head, sometimes we move in that direction of what others want for us rather than what we want for ourselves.
Absolutely, and that's one of the biggest problems that we have. One of the worst things that you do as a parent is force your kid to live out a dream that you have for yourself. That's your dream. You attain your dream, allow your kid to achieve whatever goals and dreams that they desire. I had to become resistant towards what my mother wanted from me, what my grandmother wanted from me, what the community want from me. That's what you wanted for yourselves, And our only obligation in life is to become our greater self, And I feel like my life has been more rewarding when I took my own path, and learned from those experiences that it took me to get there. So we're talking about breaking generational curses. In order to break a generational curse, I have to make a generational change. So if my family comes from an impoverished community, what is the outcome? How do I navigate that situation? Do I sell drugs? Do I become a menace to society to try to make that out? No. If I see over and over again my family going down the same tunnel of failure, that's not going to be the same way for me. I had to go outside of those lines, So for me, education was an outlet from coming out of a poverty-dominated community. But however, also I realized that, excelling in a Eurocentric school system, that wasn't it. It wasn't just limited to your education, academia. I had to go beyond that, because being an inner city student, I realized that a 4.0 in these schools is really like a 2.0 on a average grade scale from other different schools. So here I was thriving in the educational system that I thought was helping me, but I really was held back. But however, I had the ability to think outside of the box. I had the ability to acquire new knowledge to perform well, which means I had to say no to my mom, say no to the community, say no to what society standards of success is supposed to be like, and find my own successful track in life.
Okay, so you said a mouthful.
Sorry.
No, don't say sorry, man. That's what is needed. We need people to hear that there, again, like Brother Ringo was saying, there are options.
Absolutely.
You're not limited to doing a certain thing because that's what everyone else has been doing.
Absolutely.
And coming from the inner city, because I came from the inner city, grew up in the inner city, we have to make decisions.
Absolutely.
And the decisions is not based on what others want for you, it's for what you want for yourself. You either can succeed or fail.
Correct.
Depending on the decision that you make about yourself.
Correct.
It's not about my parents making a decision for me, even though we know that's what most of them want.
Yes.
Because most of our family came up, as we say, on the rough side of the mountain from the inner city, picking cotton, some of them from the south, and they come, migrated to the north. And they do honestly want the best for us.
I agree.
But the best for us, is it really the best for us, or that vicarious dream being fulfilled and lived out through those children?
That's true. And then, for the most part, we present our people with vague goals. You can be whatever it is that you want to be in life, So we have teachers, for example, who may say, you know what, you can go ahead and be an author or be a motivational speaker. But however, what happens when these kids grow up to become an author, motivational speaker, and then you don't hire them? You're just having false dreams or hopes of a reality. So we have to give them the hard truth, as Mr. James said, the hard facts, and exemplify the behavior. People reach out to me time and time again from all over the world. How can I publish my book? How can I be an international speaker? How can I do these things? Well, it's not instant gratification, and a lot of times that's where we are sold. We are sold based off the instant gratification. We feel that if I have a gift or a talent, then I deserve to receive the whole world because I have a gift and a talent. But you have the gift and the talents, but you don't have the etiquette. You don't have the manners. You don't have the respect. And how do you get that? You don't get that if you don't read, if you don't be open-minded, if you don't step outside of your comfort zone, because we are creatures of habit. And in order to break that generational change or to secure your dreams and desires, guess what? I have to get outside of my comfort zone. And that means doing things alone and open up myself to receive information from people who have already done and succeeded.
Well, you see, just what you guys have here, you have books.
Yes.
See, these are the end results that people look at. They see the end result. They don't see the work goes into that.
Absolutely.
They don't see the heartache. They don't see the misery. They don't see the long nights up in front of a computer and thinking, how am I going to do this, that, or the other? Because we've been taught, we've been brainwashed into believing about instant gratification.
Yes, sir.
Everything has become instant now.
Yep.
You instant food, instant coffee, instant this, that, other. We want that.
Right.
We don't want to put the time into doing the things we need to do in order to feel that success. And success is not a matter of what people type you as, or you become a success because you do this. Success starts with a mindset.
Correct.
Where are you at mentally?
Correct.
And what are you willing to do? That's what I think you guys are saying here too. And that's what we need to focus on as well. How do we get people to understand that the end result, as good as that might be, look at the things you have to put into that end result?
Yes.
Yeah, it's a long process, so I don't think I can make someone successful over a 1 hour workshop, nor just meeting them for 10 times throughout the year, so it's a long journey, especially when you have people telling you can't do this. My guidance counselor at John Adams asked me, why do I want to go to college? He started laughing when I told him I had a scholarship to Shaw University. He said, scholarship to Shaw University. Why don't you want to work like your father up at TRW? I just said, I got different dreams. I think I want to do something else.
Yes.
He really thought that was hilarious. Even my football coach thought it was hilarious.
Now, and before you go on with that point, that hurts when you are telling someone, I'm following a vision, a dream for myself, fulfillment. And they laugh at that like, you're black.
Right. You can't.
You don't do that.
Right.
Black people don't get education.
Right.
Black people don't get a PhD.
Yeah.
Black people, you are supposed to be in the service sector. You're supposed to be doing other things, not writing books, not becoming authors, not becoming coaches or motivational speakers. So in his head, although we can't read what was actually in his head, but his action of laughing, saying, dude, you can't do that.
Right. I was afraid to tell people when I was in the 7th grade that I wanted to be an astronaut. I was afraid because I knew they were going to laugh at me. I said, astronaut? There's no black astronauts. Boy, you better get yourself straight, you know. So I kept it a secret, and I never went after that dream, you know, whether I could or not.
Right.
But that was a dream, you know, to fly, to be an astronaut. You know, it was just a dream. But who do I tell? It was like no one.
Well, what did
No
W.
one at
Clement Stone said, if you believe it, you can achieve it. So you believed it. It was in your makeup. It was in you to do it. But you say, oh, you know what? If I tell anybody, they're not going to believe me. They're not. At the very least, they're not going to encourage the dream.
Right.
Absolutely.
They won't encourage it. They'll say, no, that's too hard. You're not going to get into college. You won't get selected. That's a long road.
Yeah.
You need to be great in math. You know, all of those things, you know. So I really didn't believe it, but it was a dream.
Yeah.
But I also knew, I can't tell nobody. I'm not going to get any support. So let me just move on and become a Jim Brown, play football.
Okay.
That was acceptable.
Well,
you can do that. You can do that.
Right.
You know?
That's within the realm, huh?
Right,
You get a ball and run it.
Yeah.
Right.
Don't chase the stars.
Yeah.
Right.
Don't reach for the stars.
Right.
Run a ball across the room.
Sometimes that's what we need to give our children, not to tell them that they can't do it.
Yeah.
Let them find out if they can.
That's true.
You know, and say, well, you know, you wanted to be an astronaut, but, you know, you're getting C's and D's in math. You know, you got to pick this up. Let's get some tutoring. Well, I want to do tutoring. Well, I really don't think you want to be an astronaut.
See,
you know?
That goes back to what you said. You give them options.
Right.
The option is there. See, what we do is most of the time we take the option away by simply saying that word, one word, can't.
You can't.
Yep.
I'm making a decision.
Exactly.
For you.
I'm going to make that decision for you. You can't do that. Instead of giving them the option of saying, just as you mentioned moments ago, hey, you're getting C's, but in order to do what you say you want to do, you got to bring these grades up from C's to A's.
Yeah. Right.
So that support mechanism, and I look like Jamel, you want to say something, so go right
yeah,
ahead.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Go on.
So we are what we think. You know, so if you think that you can't achieve something, then you won't achieve it. If you believe that you can achieve it, then you can. But however, the mind, body, and the spirit all works together. You know, you can't say, you know, well, hey, I wish to be an astronaut, but I'm hanging with these clowns who's terrorizing the community. It doesn't work that way. Mind, body, and spirit, and everything has to align together. My mind has to be in science. My mind has to be in mathematics. That means I need to eat more live food than dead food, because live food has information. Dead food doesn't. It weighs you down. I need to make sure that the environment that I reside in is more peaceful, more welcoming, more calming, where I can think and reflect and grow. I need to make sure that my mentors and my friends and my peers are on the same accord as me. We have this crabs in a barrel mentality, you know, with social propaganda and social engineering that's designed to keep us at the bottom of the barrel. So if we out here in the community, airing our dreams and our support and the support that we want to have for our future, we have a lot of people that say, you know what, you can't do it. And that's because they can't see themselves walking in your shoes. So we have to eliminate those destructive thoughts, that self-doubt, that fear, and have confidence, because the rest of the world is already against you. So why would you be against yourself and beat up on yourself? You know, so that's where we at right now. So my job is to, you know, help people become a better person than who they were yesterday by all costs. And that's giving you the hard truth, the hard realities. Starting with your diet, you know, starting with the media, how the media influences bad behavior. Starting with, you know, the inner city education system, how your school is not really helping you to thrive. You know, we can say, you know what, well, we want to continue to push this education agenda amongst Cleveland Metropolitan School District. But however, if CMSD has an overall grade point average of an F, how are you helping the students? You know, so not only do they have an overall grade point average of an F, but you're giving them poor nutrition. You're giving them sugar for breakfast and wondering why they can't sit still in the school to receive the lesson. And then now you want to kick them out of the school, report the behaviors to the authorities.
Incorrigible.
You know what I'm saying? So now they already stamped with a prison number that's getting ready to come because your inability to teach these people that you can't identify with. So I give the hard truth and the reality. This is why I like Completely Naked. This is why I write. This is why I really thrive in the jail and prison system by full-time. I'm a full-time correctional officer. For those who don't know, I work at the Calhoun County Sheriff's Department. The best experience ever. You know, I went in with a mindset of fear, dealing with animals and stuff like that, but that's what society wanted me to view my brothers and sisters as. But however, when I got in there, I realized that these people are just human, just like me. And there's not one housing unit or one inmate that I can, that I feel uncomfortable being around. They respect me. They respect me to the fullest. Why? Because I do correcting. You know, correcting is not locked down or send you to the hole. It's reprogramming your mind. You know what I'm saying? So if I can break you down and build you up mentally, now I have a better chance of building you up spiritually. And now I can get you to start eating better. I have a number of male offenders that have already started writing and producing books. That's already making the change. I'm talking about even people who are lifers, who got on trial for capital murder. These are my favorite people because people in society have forgotten about them. And I tell them that, you know, well, this system that we are in wasn't designed. It was designed for us to fail to begin with. So I can't fault you for being in here. I can't blame you. I can't hold you accountable for being in here because you didn't create the system. Because miseducation and economic castration is the mother and father of violence. So if we take the housing project, let's say CMHA housing, whether it's on 30th or is it Longwood, Arbor Park, whatever, this was a system that was created for you to fail before you was even born. You know? So however, this white system of oppression purposely remove your resource from your home, your dad. They purposely remove education from your community, good educators and school systems. So now they created this roadblock in your future for you to fall into, and they knew that you was going to fall in there and get these tools to destroy yourself and your community even further, and it's going to hold you accountable for it. So we all hold on to who people used to be, but we never welcome who they have become. And I'm that type of person. I can care less about what you did. All I worry about is who you have become. And that's the person that I wish to build and mold and build a successful relationship with, you know.
So it's saying realistically, and everything that you said, is that there's always an opportunity to make changes.
Absolutely.
And we have to look for that. And I agree with you, and I want to hear both of your views on that. The culture has brainwashed us for the most part, because everything we see on TV and the music we listen to, most people don't want to hear that because it's like, okay, you're hitting our bankroll by saying brainwash. We don't brainwash anybody, but you put violence on TV all the time. And that young child, and not everybody is going to be influenced the same way, but we all get influenced.
Right.
And everybody has to make a decision. Some young child is watching this program about violence. Right. They're going to become violent.
That's true.
Because they're seeing that as a way. Because if you're seeing it every day, somebody with a gun, another program with a gun, another program with a gun, from sun up to sundown, you think the best way to reconcile differences is with a gun.
Yes.
Or you may watch a program and every time you look up, somebody's having sex. They don't have a platonic relationship because every time you meet a girl, you're supposed to have sex with them. So the program every day and all day is saying, hey, sex is appropriate. If you feel bad, get somebody to have sex with. Or the other end of that is, and I know this is controversial to some people, but it's a truth. You see on the program, every program has, hey, and Brother James had to get comfortable. So, hey, brother, you go pour in a drink. Hey, you want a drink with me? It's a close of the day, so let's have a drink together at the end of the day.
Yes.
Every time we get together, we have to have a drink. So you're promoting that on every program.
Yes.
That drinking is how you relax.
Yes.
So the young people say, man, I need to relax. So what do? I get a drink.
Yep.
How do I solve differences? I need a gun.
Yes.
How do I make myself feel better? I need to have sex.
That's true.
So we see this all day long, and yet it's become normalized.
Yep.
It's nothing wrong with it because we see it so often.
Yeah.
It's like, this is the thing you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
And most of us don't see that as brainwashing.
No.
It becomes acceptable.
Yeah, because we have been forced to sit here and soak it all in. That's how subconscious marketing works. The more you hear it, the more you see it, the more you want it for yourself. We was talking about, you just mentioned about, having sex or whatever. My first chapter is, and Completely Naked is I cheated. Taking full self-accountability for my, reasons of infidelity. And really breaking it down to the lowest degree of why it occurred. And starting with the brainwashing, with the media, how hip hop and R&B influence this behavior within our communities. Hip hop music and R&B music doesn't uplift and inspire the people. It destroys the people. It keeps people in that situation, in that generational curse. So now you have, women who are saving themselves for a right guy, and then you have a host of guys who have been programmed to have as many women as they want. So when they get of age to start dating, to want to get married, what do you have? You have a whole bunch of chaos, So you got the rap artists and the R&B artists talking about sleeping with less fortunate men's women, and you got women who's lusting over these guys who own the headlines and these things. They are poisoning the people, So in chapter 1 of Completely Naked, I break down, of course, infidelity, where it comes from, but also taking accountability for my actions and holding other people accountable for that, and that's quite interesting that you spoke about, how marketing works and how, we are creatures of habit, and how this programming is changing, the dynamic of our community. And oftentimes in the institution, all guys, they always ask me, did I see the latest headlines or watch TV or watch the television program? I'm like, absolutely not. I can't tell you when the last time I turned on the television program, because society had told me to never focus on me. It had told me to always focus on everybody else. So it bothers me that everybody know so much about other people, but when they look in the mirror, they know where to be found.
And see, that's the thing that is very valuable. Most of us don't know who we are,
yes,
even to this day. And as you were speaking, Brother James, I'm thinking about you and your book and the manners and how it equates to African Americans. How do we combat that? Because that's part of the culture now. It's part of the chemistry. That's part of the makeup that is projected to us on a regular basis, that it's okay. When do we stop saying it's okay to infiltrate our minds with garbage? And that's a lot of it. It's nothing but garbage. What do our young people need to know, particularly black young men and women need to know, how do we prevent that generational curse from continuing through, as you were talking with your book, it says the manners playbook. That missing component is one of those, the manners. We don't have manners anymore. I listened to Jamil, and I appreciate it. I told you when you came in that he was saying, sir, sir, sir. It's rare to hear a young man or a young woman saying sir or ma'am.
Yes.
Because that's not something they have been used to hearing. And matter of fact, that honors people when you're saying sir and ma'am. They don't want that. They'll call you F this and a B that and so forth. So where are the manners at then?
Well, again, it's just teaching them other options. I can't rule their family. If they grew up being called MF every day, that's all they know. Wake up, MF, it's time to go to school. That's coming from their environment, their culture. Yes. The only thing that I can do is show them that there is another way, yes, and how that necessarily doesn't work with me, calling me that. My name is James Wingo. It's on the board. You can call me Mr. James. You can call me Mr. Wingo. Those are your only two options, and just speaking truth with that. So I start with the basics with young men, and most of the young guys that I'm with are anywhere between 6th and 8th grade, and some 9th graders. So it's just giving them other options, conversations. How do you have a conversation with a partner, with a friend, with a girlfriend? How do you start friendships? What is friendships? And they don't know the basics, so it sounds very simple, but until they hear it, then they kind of get the understanding.
That's true.
You know, doing my workshops, I have about 10 to 15 workshops. So throughout the workshops, you have your braggarts that, and I'm talking about 12, 13-year-olds that say, I got 5 girlfriends, you know. I rule the street. I run, that's nice, you know. Take them through the rest of my workshops, and we'll have an etiquette, and they'll laugh at it. They'll laugh at the table settings and restaurants. So then at the end, I usually take 2 to 3 students from each class, and we go to lunch, you know, to see if they can practice what they learn. That is being mannerable, having a conversation at a table, what to expect on the menu, who a waiter is, what the maitre d' is, what all the roles are. Let's see if you can remember that. Let's see if you can remember how to hold flatware, all right? But the killing part about it is that I invite 1 girl per table. So you'll have 3 boys at a table, and I'll have maybe 8 tables. And then I'll have 1 girl at a table, but the girl is from the high school. So you have 7th and 8th graders, and all of a sudden it's 9th grade girl, you know. Now, they talked all that stuff during the 10 weeks, how they run and they rule girls. Can't say 1 word
to the girl
with the girl that's there. And she's enjoying it, you know, because now she's got these, what she's considered young boys that's there, that's 13, 14, she's 16. And then, why are you all like that? Why you have your arms on the table? You know, you know, and it just breaks them down like, okay, well, I get what you're saying. Well, what did we talk about conversation? You know, what's wrong? I see you're not saying nothing over there. You know, whispering. I don't know what to say, you know. Remember what we talked about. All right. So then they start a normal conversation. What are your goals? You know, what classes are you taking in high school? You know, have you found it difficult being with new friends? You know, there's other things that you can say instead of just hitting it right on, like you're saying, just having sex.
Right.
That's all that they're worth. No, it's not. Yeah. So they end up finding out the difficulty of it is, of what it is, having a conversation at a dinner table or just going over to someone's house, you know. So break it down to basics and just giving them information and other options.
How to conduct themselves, you know. And this is this thing right here. This has been one of the major problems for us. Because you'll find more people sitting at the table.
Yeah, it's
not talking. They're texting away.
That's true.
Right.
They don't know how to talk to one another.
Right.
They don't know anything. Wouldn't know a fork, a salad fork from a salad knife.
That's true.
No, they don't know anything about what cutlery is. And you said flatware. When you use the term flatware, a lot of young people don't know flatware. What is he talking about? A tire? So because we don't have that education to know what things are. And I love what you said, because you need to have the races mixed, boys and girls, to understand how you're supposed to treat one another.
Absolutely.
Right.
And there is a way. You don't even see a lot of guys. No. I do it. We did it last week while all the women were here. I'm so old school, I still open doors for women. And a lot of guys, like, they get in the car and sit and look at the window like, girl, you gonna get in or what? Right. We don't open doors. We don't help them with the coats on. We don't hold doors anymore. You go through the door and the door slam in her face, and it's like, wow, you know what? She should have came through.
Right.
So etiquette is definitely important.
Very important.
But they have to be taught. Yeah. We can't assume that they're always going to know. Yeah. We can't.
We can't assume that they even know.
Right.
Even know.
Not always know, just even know.
Right.
So we need to start someplace.
Yeah.
And you are an etiquette man. You have a book on it, the manners and etiquette. Tell people, even before the end of the program, tell people how they can contact you and learn more about etiquette.
Right. Well, right now you can go online with the link, and the link is Publish Your Gift. That's all one word. .lpages.co/James. I know that's a lot.
You're going to repeat that?
Right. It's Publish Your Gift, and it's all one word, .lpages.co/James. Or you can go on Instagram at global_ECS, and I have the link in my bio.
Now, you teach this in the city of Cleveland, etiquette?
Yes, this is one of about 15 workshops that I do, but this was the easiest one that I could write. And like I said, I had that conversation with the student that said he wanted my book and I didn't want to give it to him. Then I said, let me see if I can find a book. So I went to the library looking for books. I Googled looking for books. The only book that I could find was a brother who wrote a book, but it was for how to dress for older men, 25 to 45. But it didn't talk about manners and etiquette.
Yeah.
So I said, what did Toni Morrison say? If you look for a book and you can't find it, then you need to be the one to write it.
Absolutely.
So that's when I started writing it.
I would like to speak on etiquette real quick and how I was able to develop my manners and respect for, people of all different sizes and demographics. Back in 2011, while being a junior at Kent State University, I visited the Black Holocaust Museum in Philadelphia. Now at this time, I'm trying to be successful, I'm trying to graduate, and I still had one foot in the community, had one foot in college, so I'm sitting here asking myself, well, why am I not receiving the blessings that I strongly desire in the world? And it's because of my manners and a lack of manners and not having respect for all involved. So when I went to this museum, it was the Black Holocaust Museum in Philadelphia, and it changed my life for the better. Inside of this museum, they had a room filled with obituaries from everybody who was killed by black on black violence. And inside of these obituaries, it was short-lived, like paragraphs, sentences. Like, I'm like thinking to myself, well, this is it. This is all people have to say about you from the time you were here, from the time you was born. And then, listening to the instructor, I'm like, well, if I continue to treat my people like this, then this is going to be me on these walls. And what hit me the most was inside of that room, it was a coffin. It was a coffin inside that room. And I'm goofing around, not listening to the instructor, talking to my peers. And the instructor tapped me on the shoulder and said, hey, my man, go take a look inside of the coffin. I'm scared, nervous, shaking, don't know what to expect. I go in, open that coffin, and I look inside, and I saw myself. Changed my life for the better. From that moment, I told myself that I'm going to respect each person I come in contact with, no matter what. I'm going to make sure I start eliminating the N word from my vocabulary. I'm going to make sure I start eliminating the B word from my vocabulary in terms of how I address women. It will be sir, it will be ma'am. Some women say, you know what, don't call me ma'am, I'm not that old. Ma'am, it's a sign of respect.
Exactly.
Sir, it's a sign of respect. So I've been practicing that, and that has allowed many doors to open up for me. I can't come on positive platforms or go to, $1 million banquets if I use that tone of voice, and I feel like, I have to see myself in everybody that I meet, so I'm a reflection. You are a reflection of the people that you hang around with. So I really pride you for writing the book on etiquette, because many of us need it. And on a daily basis, I make sure that I exemplify it. If somebody speaks to me in a tone that's not resonating me well, I'm stopping you in your tracks. So, for example, it may be like, hey, what's up, my excuse me. I'm not no NIGGA. I'm not ignorant. I'm not less than. I'm not lazy. I'm not none of these things. That term was used to make you look down upon other people and block your growth. So,
but before you go on, black people tend to think that is a word of endearment. They will use it and say nothing wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with us saying that. I like what you said because it is true. We should eliminate out of our vocabulary. Absolutely. And there's nothing wrong with saying sir and ma'am,
right?
Similarly, but I want to just interject that.
Oh, thanks for doing it, because there are so many different adjectives in the book, right? In the dictionary that we can use to, identify somebody with. Why would we resort to the N word or B word if it's supposed to be nice and pleasant? If I look at the definition, it's gonna go back to something negative, for both. So how hard is it to say, beautiful black brother or my brother or my sister? You know what I'm saying? Just replace that and start using other adjectives that complements who they are, their intelligence. Even if they aren't in that space, I have to look at them and treat them as who they already had the potential to become. And then that's when we start that change. If I see this person who sagging his pants or whatnot, if I don't never tell him to put his pants up, he's going to keep sagging his pants. So he may think it's cool because it's on rap videos, but I can say, you know what, man, my man, that's a sign of butt breaking. You know what I'm saying? Slave owners, took our most meaningless, restless slaves, as I mentioned in chapter 3, and Completely Naked Generational Curses. They took the meaning, most restless slaves and took his manhood in front of the whole population and gave him big pants. So you saw him with baggy pants. That means he has been tampered with from his slave owner. Then they started to say, it comes from jails and prisons. Jails and prisons is modern day slavery. It still works. You know what I'm saying? So it is our job to exemplify the behaviors that we wish to see in our people in order to make that change.
But that goes back to what Brother James, you were saying. That again, that's manners.
Yes.
And it has to be taught. And then too, what you just stated as well, people have to learn to read.
Correct.
These books are good, but they're good for nothing if people don't read.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. They need to pick up a book and read. See, when you read, you realize something.
Absolutely.
I'm not smart. There's things that I don't know. That's why we read.
That's wisdom.
Exactly. We want to read because the more I read, the dumber I realize I was.
Yes.
Because every time I read a book and go, man, okay, that's something I didn't know.
Yeah.
Then I read another book and say, man, that was another thing I didn't know. So it's a mental marathon that I'm running.
Correct.
Because every time I read, I'm learning something new, and it's making me better as an individual. Correct. Now, I'm becoming better not because of other people. Now, we can become better or bitter.
Correct.
That's a choice. If we choose to be better, that means we have to do the things in order to become better, which Absolutely. Means we have to sometimes disassociate from people who we thought were in our corner.
Yes.
That they weren't.
Yes.
And if they don't have the manners, the kind of manners that you exemplify,
mm-hmm.
you don't need to be around them.
Absolutely.
You know what? Come around me when you get it together.
Yes.
I tell my crew too, sometimes to the teams, I say, you know what? We can close the door, but don't lock it.
Yes.
What does that mean? That means you still have an opportunity to come in. You can still come in, but you have to come in differently.
Yes.
At that point. And that's what we need to teach. That's where the power comes from. The mm-hmm. power, knowledge is power.
Yes.
If we utilize it properly.
If we utilize it.
We need people to teach the knowledge. Teach people by example.
Yes.
These books are good. You quoted chapter 1 of your book. You quoted chapter 3 of your book. You can quote different chapters of
yes.
the book. I'm sure you can too.
Yes.
The reason for that is that because it's a part of you.
Absolutely.
And if it's a part of you, you can teach things that you know about.
Mm-hmm.
And the only way for our culture to get better, our people to get better, not to compare themselves to whites or anybody else. Compare yourself to yourself.
Yes.
Am I getting better? You went to the museum. When you look in that casket simply said, dude, you want to be in here? This can be you. Yeah. Stop making excuses and make those adjustments.
Yes.
And if we do that, things get not necessarily easier, but they do get better.
Correct.
And that's what we should be looking for. So with manners, especially as black people, we need to be taught manners. You need to be like the Dick Blake of manners right now. Dick Blake was that dancer, right? He had his school, right?
Yeah.
And folks was flocking to Dick Blake to get taught dancing. How many people are flocking to you to get taught manners?
Well, because I don't emphasize it, there's a bigger picture. I mean, it's manners, but you also have to have confidence and courage, because a young male, 13, 12, they're driven by their ego. Mm. And all men, we all have these fragile egos. We don't want to be laughed at. Mm. We want to be right. And we want to be with the good crowd. So these young guys, they know what's right, but it's better for them to be accepted in a group.
Yep.
It's better for them to not be talked about or laughed about. Mm-hmm. One reason why they're not going to particular functions, they don't have the clothing.
Yes.
They don't have a suit. They don't want to tell you they don't have a suit. They don't want to be laughed at when they do go.
There's that ego and pride, isn't it?
Right, that ego and pride. So they have to have the confidence and the awareness to do the right thing.
I agree.
And that might mean not associating with some of their friends. And then I have workshops about friends. How do we make friends? How do we keep friends? Who is a friend? You don't have to be mean to somebody just because you figure, well, he's not cool, he's a thug. No, you can still give him down. Yo,
That's
what's
right.
up?
Don't have to hang
But
with
you don't
them.
have to hang with them.
There we go.
You know? So, you don't have to ostracize yourself.
Exactly.
And a friend is someone who's going to be in your corner. So
I agree.
are these people in your corner that you're hanging with? You have to make those decisions. And it might mean you only have one person to hang with. But pretty soon, somebody may want to hang with you because they see with the route that you're going. Absolutely. So I try to teach them that, and that encouragement, that confidence. Let me try to do the right thing. And then from there, they'll start picking up, well, maybe I need to be a little bit nicer. Maybe I need to watch my language. And it's just to be told sometime. They say something, no, not acceptable. Oh, sorry, Mr. Wingo. It's by habit for them. They're not even thinking about it. That they're calling out the N-word and everything by having that. You have to check them. Like, nope, not today. Or they come in the room the wrong way, go back out and start over again.
There we go.
And you know what you're saying is so true. And I said it on the program, and I said it in the teaching. Young people are looking for leadership.
Mm-hmm.
They're looking for leaders.
Right.
They're looking for people who know the way. Yep. Because even that evil person, they're doing something somebody wants to emulate. Mm-hmm. So why can't we do something positive and them emulate what we're doing? It takes a little time, and we said that at the onset of the program. You said it's a process. Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's a process that we're in, and this is an ongoing process. It doesn't stop until we dead.
That's true.
Right.
When we die, that's when our process stops. Mm-hmm. Up to that, you have an opportunity to make a difference in somebody's life. Sure. Guys, we only have 5 minutes left. So with those 5 minutes, you guys can tell us what you want in closing for our viewing audience and listening audience to take away from what you are doing positively, because everything you said has been positive.
Right.
Hopefully everybody's listening. So, I want to be like these guys. Okay. So what do you have?
Well, I would say my book is a conversation piece to discuss with your young men in the family. This is not just a book you buy and you give it to them. It's to have a conversation. For moms who are practically rearing young men, you can teach them to be a man, but you can't show them how to be a man. So this book will help you teach them how to be a man. In the same way with dads. Dads, sometimes we don't have to know it all, but here's a book that can help guide you and at least show that, what I'm talking about is right here. And that's proof for your young sons or grandsons.
Cool.
Awesome. Same as Mr. James,